What's up guys, I'm Justin from CPI and Prinsu, and today we're going to show you how to install the brand new Prinsu Pro Rack for the 3rd Gen Tundra. Stay tuned for the install. All right, so I've started out by getting everything unpacked. That's the first step. We want to lay it all out, how it's going to install. Make sure we got all our wind deflector, our gray crossbar, all of our black crossbars. We have inner and outer side rails. We have a front inner side rail and a rear inner side rail, so make sure you have all of those. And then I went ahead and laid out all the hardware as if it's going to be installed. I've prepped the hardware with washers and some Loctite, and we'll give you a tight shot of that. Everything laid out. Our mounting brackets are all going to be the same, so you don't have to worry about orientation there, and I'll show you how to get those installed. All right, so first we're going to install our mounting feet on the side rail. So this inner side rail is kind of notched out for that mounting foot, just to kind of recess in like that. So you don't actually have to have this in place when you bolt this to the outer side rail. You can, just to make sure it's aligned, but that's your choice. And then we're gonna use our Allen head screws. These are 5/32 Allen. We're gonna make sure we start them by hand so we don't cross thread it. And I'm using an impact, but just note that this is turned down to its lowest setting, and we're just being really careful that we don't over tighten these. So we'll go ahead and get these installed on both sides. Again, the mounting feet are the same, so orientation's not a big deal. All right, so now it's time to install a few crossbars and kind of put all this assembly together. So we need to make sure the inner side rail is locked into place, and we're gonna use these smaller holes to thread the bolt through both of the side rails and into the crossbar. You only need to do a couple for right now, just to keep the rack together while we take measurements on the truck. All right, so now we're at the truck. We're gonna take some measurements and drill some holes. I don't have to drill those holes because we previously had the Prinsu OG rack on here, and we removed that to install the Pro Rack. So if you're in that same situation, you can just basically throw the rack up here, start siliconing and tighten everything down. But if you need to drill your holes, you're gonna see this black trim piece towards the back of the cab, and you're gonna measure from the front of that forward 1.25 inches and make a mark on this foam. And that's where you're gonna drill your hole on the each side on the back. Once you get that drilled, we're gonna show you how to install the plus nuts, and then you'll set the rack up here, start the bolts in these plus nuts, and then that'll help you get your alignment. Then you can draw out the rest of the holes and drill them in the same fashion. What I've done with this kind of foam gutter trim right here is, you can cut it out with a utility knife. Just put the spacer over the center of the hole, draw around it so you know the area you need to cut out, because we need that spacer to sit all the way flat on the roof, not on top of this foam. What I like to do is, once I get a pilot hole drilled, I'll drill a 7/8 hole saw, and you just have to be really careful that you drill through the foam but not through the roof with the 7/8 hole saw bit. So just be really careful if that's the direction you're gonna go. Makes for a really clean hole, nice and tight to the spacer. That's the way I like to do it, but again, a utility knife works just as good. All right, so let me give you some instructions on compressing the plus nut in the roof. So once you've drilled out your holes to 3/8 of an inch, we're gonna start installing plus nuts. So what you do is you take your longer bolt that was in your plus nut install kit, slide over a washer, then we're gonna slide on the hex coupler, one more washer, and we're gonna take a plus nut and run it up. And we need to make sure that that plus nut is snug up against this other washer so that everything's nice and tight together. So what you need to do is put a little bit of silicone on that leading edge, insert that in the hole, and then hold the hex coupler with a 1/2 inch wrench, and you're gonna turn the top of it with a 7/16 wrench or socket. What we're going for is 26 inch-pounds. We don't wanna over tighten. So once we hit that, then we're gonna back it out and just repeat that process on all of your holes. All right, so you got a couple options here. Being that we've already compressed all of our plus nuts, all of our holes are drilled, and I have some help here, we're gonna go ahead and install all the crossbars that aren't over a mounting foot on the rack right here on the ground, and then we'll put the whole assembly up and get it bolted down. If you don't have the help or you're still drilling holes, you may wanna keep it with just the 2 crossbars installed and make it easier on you. Once you get it up there, you can install the crossbars once it's on the vehicle. But like I said, I have the holes, I have some help, so we're gonna go ahead and build this thing out. All right, so we got our rack ready to be installed on the vehicle. We're just gonna do one more thing up here before we set it into place. We're gonna take our rubber washers and our spacer and just line those up over all the holes. So if you drilled that 7/8 hole, this is gonna fit like a glove just right inside of there. Once we get the rack sitting on top, we'll take our RTV silicone and just insert some right down the middle of each hole, and then we'll get our bolt started. All right, so now that the rack is bolted down to the vehicle, we can go around and check the gap and adjust our mounting feet as necessary. So you can just kind of run your fingers along the roof line and just kind of loosen the mounting feet bolts and adjust the rack, retighten as necessary. Once you get that done, we'll move to the rest of the crossbars and the wind deflector. Next step, let's get this wind deflector assembled and installed on the vehicle. So we're gonna take our plus nuts, make sure that you slide them into the track with the threaded side that's kind of elevated above the surface facing down. And I just kind of lined up the wind deflector with this crossbar so we know exactly where to slide in those T-nuts. Once we get that, we'll take our smaller Allen head bolts, get them all started, center everything up, and then tighten it down. And of course, our noise reducing trim, we'll go ahead and slide that on and cut off the excess. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, click the like button. Always subscribe to see more videos like this. We'll see you on the next one.